they put it before anyone else.
Right.
And
Right.
that's their prerogative if that's how they want to live. But I promise that they will end up in one of three places, either an institution, in jail, or dead.
Three, two, one, yeah!
You're listening to Squeeze Limes, where truth stings, laughs heal, and nothing's off limits. I'm Tyler, the daughter.
I'm Robin, the mom. And if life gives you lemons,
We're squeezing limes instead.
so grab a seat, open your mind, and get ready to laugh or cry because we're not here to play nice.
We're here to get real. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Squeeze Limes. We're so excited you're here, or if this is your first time, welcome. My name is Tyler, and this is my mom, Robin.
Hello.
I am a former educator in early childhood and a yoga teacher where I taught children all the way to elders. So I've worked the gamut of kind of all people at all different ages and stages in life, with a trauma-informed background and a mindfulness approach.
Very nice.
And
And I am a family counselor for over 3 decades on the North Shore of Chicago, as well as Chicagoland area, and work with families. I work with teens. I work with elders. I work with all types of people. And what I have come to realize, I've also specialized in addictions. What I've come to realize is that over the years, people have asked me to help a family member, mostly like their children who are maybe young adults or um, the teenagers that are having a hard time, and end up with, most of the family in my office at from time to time to get their perspective and to have other family members hear them and get some old wounds out so they can carry on and in a healthy relationship, which is really nice. I also have conquered reunification for the past decade, which has been very rewarding for sure, um, especially when it comes to divorce recovery and families of divorce and blended families. So that's me. So today we want to talk about addictions,
yes,
and there's, I mean, just a huge variety of conversation to have, and so I'm going to have you kick it off so we can just go in the direction for a while that you want to go and start with.
sure. Well, I think to preface it, when we talk about addiction, there's so many facets and varieties and personality types that get into this realm of what addiction is or could be. And, for most of my life, we've really dived into addiction being more of a genetic thing because it does run in my family. And so I, am aware that I could or probably do have an addiction type personality that, I've been very intentional and aware of the things that I involve myself in and do or see or are a part of.
Because you have the knowledge.
Because I have the knowledge and the history. And so I think just to touch on that quickly is if it does run in your family or if it is something that you are aware of, I think it's really important to share your family history with the upcoming generations. I do believe knowledge is power. And when you have the knowledge and the information, you can make more informed decisions for yourself. And growing up this way, it really has helped me form, relationships in very specific dynamic ways because I was, so aware of this, but also in the sense that when you give knowledge to your children or your grandchildren, whatever, however the family history is, it helps in the act of not repeating.
Yeah, it can for sure.
It can.
That's the premise, is that you want to share this so they understand that if they go to a party in, their teen, whatever, in college, let's say, and or before, and they
Or any time in
or
life.
anytime, whatever. So and they want to try alcohol or whatever it is, and um they want more and more, or they feel like, oh, they stopped at 10 beers and that's not okay,
Jeez.
and that kind of thing. So, but I'm saying the more information, like you were saying, that we give out to generations before, after us, they get to make better decisions.
Right.
But the problem, and I love that, and Dad and I did that, and
Yes.
that's was a beautiful thing. So, but there are people still today that I think one of my first top 5 questions to anyone that's wanting to, be in my office and do some work is that, is there a lineage of
Yeah.
addiction? Whatever that may be. It's not alcohol, it could be alcohol, drugs, sex, shopping and
Gambling,
gambling,
food.
food, exactly,
Yeah.
all those things. So, um a lot of people are like, "Oh, no, 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 not my family." It's still like a taboo, or some
Yeah.
shame around
Yeah.
it. But then when we dig deeper, it's like, "Oh yeah, my Aunt Shirley, yeah, she was just crazy." Okay. So then you start to uncover what that
Right.
really means to a person, and so you have to do a deep dive and figure that out.
Right. And with that being said, I think that piece is really important because it's showing that a lot of people don't recognize the signs of addiction.
Right.
And so when you're like, oh, that's just my Aunt Shirley, or like that, that was normal. I think some people really have normalized addictions
Mhm.
or normalized behaviors that really go hand in hand with addiction. And people might not be aware that they are, in fact, addicts.
Right. Right. That's exactly right. So speak more to that. No, I mean, because
Like,
you
I
have
want
an
to go.
opinion about this, I think that runs very deep.
Let's just talk about like the most common, most acceptable, most normalized behavior out there is alcoholism.
Okay.
I think that alcohol is something that has played a huge role in society of, you go out, you go to dinner, you have a drink with your meal, it's really fun. You can go to parties and everyone's drinking. Can come home at the end of a long day and sip on a glass of wine to unwind from your day. Like things have been very, very normalized specifically around alcohol.
Hmm.
Um,
I mean, yeah, it depends.
in terms of those facets.
Right, right, right. In moderation. I mean, obviously,
So that's
in
what I'm about to get at.
moderation.
Yes.
Right.
So because those things have become so normalized, um, that there becomes a very gray area into where is the moderation and then where does it actually turn into addiction? Where does it actually mean that you're abusing that drug?
So,
Because
right.
alcohol is a drug.
Oh, there's absolutely.
And
And I think people justify it in certain ways. So,
yes,
like there are binge drinkers um, that have been in my office and that I know personally, and they justify it by, well, I only go out once a week and I just drink, whatever, then I'll
to get
have 30
drunk
drinks.
and
Right,
yeah,
right, right. And I just want to have fun. And it's once a week. It's no big deal, because if I really was addicted, it wouldn't be once a week. It would be every day. So I don't. That is a false
a
method.
fallacy.
It's
Yeah.
a fallacy. And that, part of addiction and being having an addicted personality disorder is also part of denial and ego all mixed up in one.
Mm,
So the ego is like, I can totally handle it because it's once a week. There's no way that I'm an alcoholic.
And more importantly, most addicts say, and I can stop whenever I want to.
Right, actually, and I have stopped, and look,
Right.
I went for, like, 1 whole month. I went, 4 weeks in a row. I did
Right.
so I truly am not, but the real fact is that if you are binge drinking once a week or more than once a week or every other week, and you are binge drinking an enormous amount in a short period of time, you're just making up for the everyday, and promise you that is part of alcoholism, and it's
Yeah.
unfortunate to say it so roughly, but that is the truth.
Right.
Um,
What about other than binge drinking?
so I had a girlfriend, that I was really good friends with when we were raising you guys up, and, every night she would have a glass of wine, and and I'm like, eh I didn't know this, and so she's like, "Oh, I have to go get my wine," and I'm like, "Oh, okay. Is this like an everyday thing?" Like, I was kinda kidding because 'cause I've known her for so long
Mhm.
that I did not think she's like, "Oh, yeah, it's the only way that I can actually relax. I can watch a show or I can read a book, and then I can fall asleep." And I said, "If you do this every day, you're getting yourself in trouble here. That's alcoholism. You need to take a look at that, and if you I mean, just let's see if you're okay with doing it maybe twice a week or 3 times a week if that's what you really think you need." But she's like, "No, no, no. It's 1 glass, not even sometimes, and it's just to get me to sleep." And so, no. So that's also a form of alcoholism.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It is absolutely a form of alcoholism. And actually, the research shows that alcohol actually hinders your sleep.
Yes, it absolutely does,
So
right.
that
Well, it also causes, it's also a depressant. So people think like, "Oh my god, I need a drink," because it does relieve you for a minute,
it
and like
lowers
what's
you.
like yeah, right, except for days after, hours and days after, it lends to a form of depression that you don't even know it's underlying depression you don't even know that you are exhibiting, and you
Right.
truly are.
Right.
So,
Right.
you know, is so what else would be in that category of, like, people
Um,
thinking that they're not addicted?
in your experience as someone that has, counseled people to live healthier lives and out in and out of addiction, and what is your opinion around someone that has a history and then unfortunately puts themselves in an environment that is harmful really to their success
Or
and their
sobriety, you mean?
their sobriety
Oh, so they're sober and they put themselves in a
in a toxic environment,
such
whether
as
that's relationships, parties, work,
well, I mean,
whatever.
some people depends how much work you really do on yourself. So, there are some people that it can take 15 years for them to go to a small dinner party and have people drink and watch them and be fine with it. There are some people that never are fine with it, and there's some people that are fine with it off the bat. I don't know. I mean, so it
Mhm.
just depends. But I know people that are sober that like go to concerts and people are all around them doing drugs and drinking alcohol and or parties and or barbecues or whatever it is,
Mhm.
family gatherings. Um, Now, if they cannot, if it bothers them or triggers them, the answer is very clear. They should not be anywhere near that.
Mm.
They should not be anywhere near people that trigger them and or going back from rehab or finding their sobriety and finding their own program, whatever that may look
Mm.
like, to go back to the same people in the same
Right.
daily.
Right.
That's what is the biggest trigger for people is that they just go right back. Like they can do it and hang out with, Bob and Sue and hang out and you can sit around a fire pit and smoke and you're not, or drink and you're not. And it eventually like, is bound to happen if you aren't strong enough. So it
Right.
just depends where you're at, I think.
Right.
Truly.
And I think that in itself kind of alters your path of like you were once sober and then you put yourself in this environment, or unfortunately you ended up in this environment if it's out of
Right.
your control or whatever
Right.
the case may be. And then it alters your path of, well, I'm seeing other people do it and they're fine and they're living lives. Like,
Totally.
what do you say
That's
about like
when
all of those messages?
so there's, like, both. So when I have seen and been with people who are sober, who get sober, and go back into, like, we're all going out as couples, it's the same kind of couple. And then there's always, or not always, but there has been one or two in the bunch that says, like, wait, you can't even just take a hit? It's just one hit. Like, it's pot. Like,
Mm,
pot is not addicting. That's not part of it. Let's, we're in Vegas and of course you can gamble. Well, you can't. Like, none of those things are okay.
yeah.
So if you have any of those addictions, you can't go to the other and think it's okay because just because you weren't because you think, well, I have a
Mm,
cocaine issue, so but I can drink alcohol because eventually it's still a personality.
right. The
So
addiction finds its vice.
exactly, exactly. And so people think like exercise is the healthiest one to gravitate to, but
It could be
that's
an
also
addiction.
a
Yeah,
100%. It's crazy addiction. So
could be. Yeah.
and they're like, but at least it's healthy. Okay. So if you're doing
Well,
something every day,
yeah.
I believe if you're doing something every day except for eating and
A per
peeing or pooping and drinking
well,
water and breathing air,
everything in moderation.
that you there's nothing you should be doing every single day. You shouldn't have sex every day. You shouldn't exercise every day.
Mm,
You shouldn't do
You
those things every day. You
well,
need to take a day off.
exercise.
I still think you need to.
You should be exercising every day, whether that's you know 20 minutes of hit one day and a 20-minute walk the next day. That's still considered exercise.
They actually say that you need to take one day off and just be and
Mm,
let your body regenerate. And that's,
correct.
I believe that
No,
personally. Yeah.
100%. But what I'm saying is that the exercise piece is still there. You still do recovery exercises, which may mean um, that day maybe you're stretching. That day maybe you're taking more of like
Or
a
maybe you're just
meditative, like a
strolling.
yoga,
Right.
right? A walk. That is still considered exercise. So I don't want to like
Right. Right.
the addiction
Intentional,
piece
like I'm
is
going to the
like
gym, I'm running 10 miles, like that kind of thing.
the addiction piece is you're you're going hard every single day, which is meeting some unmet need,
Right.
and that becomes a form of addiction. So I
Right.
just want to say like that one is nuanced.
Right. I suppose. I still don't believe it. But yeah. I
You
mean,
just said when you
no,
go on a walk.
I mean, but it doesn't have to be. You could literally do nothing for one whole day, and I think that that's okay too, but I
Well, of
understand.
course it's okay.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't I think if you personally, if you do something every day, um, other than eating and going to the bathroom and sleeping, it's like, no,
Okay.
truly. I just believe that. I just believe that. Anyway, so that's my answer. I don't know what we were talking about.
I was asking the question around messaging of seeing other people fully functioning in these environments and you being like, "Well, I can do it too.
Right, right,
I can have fun with them and then go back and be totally fine and I can live this life
right,
with,
right. So,
whatever it
right,
is in it."
right, right. And the thing is that your old friends and the people you hung out with and had cocktails with every night or whatever you did, or, chugged beers or whatever you did, that habit, no one likes a quitter. I have learned. No one likes a quitter. So they don't want to be look they don't want the
It
mirror to
turns
go into their
I
face.
was just about
So
to say that.
if
Yeah.
you stand back and say like I'm good tonight, like I'm gonna not, um, then they're like, oh my God, like so
Yeah.
now we're not friends, and then it turns into that. But it's really about it should be about like, "I'm so supportive of you, that's amazing."
Yes.
Like, that's something that is, like, I should look at maybe.
Yeah.
Instead, they make this whole scenario of, like, "You're on the out now, and so we'll just find our own
Sure.
people,"
Yeah.
because they don't wanna quit.
Right. They don't want to look at it as this bad thing.
Right.
Because you're right, it does shine a mirror and a light onto,
Absolutely.
oh, well, you're not drinking anymore. You have the
Right.
problem, not me.
Right. Right.
And
It's
I
true.
had that before. When I was breastfeeding my daughter for the over a year that I was, I got it several times of, "Why aren't you drinking?" Like,
Right.
drink like,
You can have a
it
glass
was
of wine,
just, you
right?
can have something, or you can pump and dump, or you can,
Well, people do think that,
whatever it
right,
is.
right.
And people do that, and to
Totally.
each their own.
Right.
Um, but for me, it was very clear I was shining a mirror onto them of when I took a stance for my own option, my
Because
own
they couldn't
choice.
understand or they were trying
It
to get you
was
to do it.
it was a mirror reflecting that their behavior could have been wrong in some way, and they didn't wanna accept that,
Right.
so they were pestering me
Right. Well, sometimes
to drink.
also the people that are left behind when you make decisions like that, they're also feeling that they're losing a friend. And that's really the
Mm,
saddest part.
yeah,
I quit smoking cigarettes. When did you graduate? 8 or 9 years ago.
almost 10.
And really, no, in May. Wow, no, in May.
Next May.
Right. So next month it'll be 9 years that I quit.
Yes.
And so I remember, like, there's so many people that I hung out with that, we would walk outside or we would wherever we were, even if we were at a restaurant, we would go outside like a group and that's like those are like your buddies and
Right.
it's like a clique, you
Right.
know? And when I wasn't doing that because I didn't want to hang out there or I didn't want to do that because
It was
it was
hard.
too hard.
Yeah.
I they didn't want to be with me because it was like, "Oh my god, she's not the same." Or they would feel like, "Can't you just come and sit with us?" And I could, and there
Yeah.
were times that I, of course, did. And today, I don't really care one way or the other, but I in the beginning, it's hard.
Yeah.
I wanted a cigarette. I was a great smoker, and it's really sad to say, but I loved that, like,
Well, you
look
grew up
of
in like, era of, like, that was really cool.
it was cool,
Like, it was a
and
super cool thing
it
action
was
to do. You'd
it
see it
was
in movies, and,
attractive,
like, the
right?
popular people were
Right.
doing
But
it,
if you
and
do it well, like, it's
right,
cool.
you grew up in that.
Right. I guess, yeah.
And, like,
Yeah.
nowadays, it's like, "Ew, you're
Right.
still smoking?
Right.
That's disgusting. It's
Right,
2026."
but there are
Like,
people that absolutely do, and there's another scenario that people go to rehab, they get sober, they live, a healthy life, they go to meetings, because I do wanna put this in, if you are an addict and you do not attend meetings, even if it's once a week, even if it's literally after many, many years, once every other week, you are considered a dry drunk, meaning
mm,
meaning you have the same exact personality and the same bullshit and the same ego and the same anger or snide commentary as you did when you were drunk. It's almost worse. Like, at least there was a reason, like, oh, because he had 12 beers. Now it's just this is your personality. So when you go to meetings, it literally grounds you. It
mm,
grounds you, it supports you. And even if you're bored in the hour and a half meeting, I promise you, you will end up seeing one thing that will be like, yes, thank you very much. And then it will bring you to this zone that you need until the next time. And so I believe that that is for certain for anyone that has addiction issues. Now, people who work the programs and do all of those things,
mhm,
and then they go off, and then they fall off the wagon, so to speak. Um, some people, you know. take that opportunity to go back into this kind of mindset of, you know what? I really thought I was addicted this whole time. I even went to rehab. Like, it's kind of a joke because I actually wasn't. And so I totally can have a drink at dinner and
Right.
that kind of thing. That is again a misconception. It is you are just really down and deep into your own denial and
Mm.
um no, that you can't do that.
So you'd say that has more to do with like the ego aspect coming out and
Well, I
being
think
like,
it's like they don't
well,
want to miss the party. They don't want to live this life. They don't like it so much. It's different. It's because a lot of people have to change their ways and change their friends and sometimes you're not around family that can't handle it or that tease you or whatever.
mm,
So you
yeah,
don't want that. You want to be around people who support you and who are like-minded. And so, but if you try to talk yourself into that really wasn't me in the first place, I don't even know why they told me I had to go to rehab or whatever it is. That's never going to work anyway.
mm,
I've brought more people to rehab than I can even count and early on and in my career. And no, 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 no. Because their rock bottom is not what you would ever think would be a rock bottom. So me bringing them or sitting around and facilitating, a conversation with family about like how we really want you to go is a waste because that person
mm,
has to go on their own
right.
volition.
To
And that
come to
is
a
the only
realization.
100%. It's the only way that it works. It's the only way it works,
Right.
truly. And
Just,
people fall off and people are human and
yeah,
that's okay and they make mistakes. But then they get right back on, and programs across the world are very accepting. You just go right back in
right.
and be accountable.
Yes.
That's really what it's about. It's humbling.
Right.
So the ego and the narcissistic personality also play such a big role in across the board addiction or addictive personalities.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that's so important to know and to know that, like, if you have spiraled before and you're doing it again, it is really important to recognize that this is just the hand you were dealt and that going back into something or saying that this is actually not you or this is
It's a trick. You're
it's a
bargaining.
trick.
It's like part of grieving is like bargaining, denial, anger, depression, sadness, all of
Sure.
that. That goes hand in hand because you are grieving the loss of what people consider their best friend, which
Yeah.
is their alcoholism or addiction,
Right.
whatever that may
Right.
be, because they put it before anyone else.
Right.
And
Right.
that's their prerogative if that's how they want to live. But I promise that they will end up in one of three places, either an institution, in jail, or dead, and that's how it goes.
Mm,
Literally,
wow.
those 3, if you keep going in that direction, that's how it goes.
Inevitably, you're
One of 3.
it's failure.
It's failure. It's always failure. So, where people can get help, if they wanna really look further into what they think may be a problem, and it's affecting their lives and their relationships, um, AA.org
Mm,
is easy, and there are meetings every hour on the hour in every city of every country across the world. And there are helplines, and you can call your hospital and you can call your local police station, non emergency, and they'll give you all that information.
beautiful. If you feel that you may have, a problem or you just are questioning, like, is this an issue or is it not? I don't know. Look further into it. It can only help.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us today on Squeeze Limes. Hope you have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
Be sure to follow, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs a good squeeze.
Of course, everybody needs one.
See you next time on Squeeze Lines.